it's Meg. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's junk journal with me, we are going to be doing day 11 of Junk Journal July. Today's prompt is fussy cutting, and I feel like this is a bit like Marmite. I feel like you either love fussy cutting or you hate it with a passion, because it can be really fiddly and tricky to do, but I feel like the payoff is 100% worth it. I use little embroidery type scissors to get some of the details, and then I go in with a craft knife if there are some like sections in the middle that I can't quite get to. And personally, I find it quite like therapeutic and relaxing to do. It's something that I might do as I'm like watching a video or something like that. I just really love to do it, and I just think the payoff when you fussy cut, like, I don't know, a botanical out of a book or any sort of image, I just think it's really worth it. And when it comes to my journaling, like, I'm not in any rush, so I don't mind spending that extra bit of time to fussy cut something out. It does take a bit of practice, I feel like, so if you've got something that's like particularly fiddly, I like to sometimes leave like a bit of a border around the edge. Otherwise you'll get like a random like leaf or arm that just like you accidentally cut off, and I have done that so many times when I'm cutting. Like, I'm just like in autopilot almost going along, and then I've realized I've like chopped off half of the drawing. But if you do that, please don't panic, because if you carry on, cut it all out, and then once you stick it in your journal anyway and just sort of reattach it, like, no one will notice and it won't be too bad. So if you've got something that's like particularly fiddly, maybe like cut it into sections at places where you might not immediately notice a join, and then you can join it up that way if you're new to kind of doing this sort of intricate cutting. So for this page, I've decided to cut out one of my classic, I feel like, botanical images. This is an absolutely beautiful illustration of a tulip, and the red I think really pops against all the neutral tones that I've got on the page. And this image is quite large actually in comparison to the size of journal that I'm using, so I think it will act as a really nice focal point for my journal. And you can see there that I'm just cutting out the little white section in the middle. It's one of those small details that I just think really finishes it off and makes the fussy cut element look even more polished than it already does. So here I have a tissue paper envelope thing that I must have come across at one point when I was getting some tissue paper, and I've clung onto it and thought, how can I use this? So obviously it's too long to use in its entirety in my journal, so I've chopped it in half, and then I'm also trimming it down because it was too wide for my journal as well. And so I'm going to add this as a sort of tipped in page that will also act as a pocket, and we're only on day 11, so I'm kind of a little bit scared that I'm going to have way too much stuff in this journal, but I just feel like that's a problem for future me to deal with. And I don't know, at this point I'm even like, what if I have to make a second journal? But I guess that's not the end of the world. The more the merrier when it comes to journals. But yeah, I'm just kind of going with it, and if I want to stick something in my journal, I'm sticking it in. And I'm sorry, spine, we will pray that you don't fall apart. I think we'll be okay, but yeah, it's just in the back of my mind that I keep adding so much stuff. So I'm going to do another fussy cut element to this page here. So the stencils that I've been using on a few of my pages, I really like the patterns, and I thought, how else can I use that other than just it being a sort of traditional stencil? So what I did was just grabbed a pencil and drew inside the pattern, and then just got my craft knife and cut it out, the design. And because this little envelope thingy-mabob, I don't know the correct term for it, because it has the window on the other side, it's showing through to the pages that are on the other side of this journal page, and I just think it looks really cool. So then I decided to do some more, and to be honest, when I first started I thought, ooh, wouldn't this be cool to do like the entire page? Like, I just think that would have such a cool effect. And then I started doing it, and when I tell you this took so long, and just be glad that I speed up, edit, and chop up this footage, because you would have been bored out of your minds watching this. It took so long. It was quite relaxing to do, but I just thought, you know what, for this like quick and low pressure journal page for this challenge, I just thought I'd leave it at a couple of them, and it gives the same effect, but without me sitting there for like 3 hours cutting out all those different holes. So I really like how that looks, and then what I'm just doing is attaching it to my journal with this really wide washi tape. I believe the brand is MT. I'll see if I can find a link to it because it's one of my favorite washi tapes. I really love it. Then I decided to come into this blank space here next to the cutout, and I'm adding a quote. It was just something that I had found on Pinterest, which is something that I feel like I always do with my quotes, but I just felt that adding it to the side of the illustration and kind of working with the contour of that is a really nice effect and helps to kind of blend in the writing. This marker, it's a Tombow brand marker. I will try to find a link to that as well and leave it down below, because I just love the way that marker writes. It's not like a kind of calligraphy marker in the sense that you get like really thick downstrokes. It's almost a bit like a Goldilocks pen. So yes, I would definitely recommend that pen. And here I'm just coming in with my favourite white pen, which is a Uniball Signo. You can get these in broad tips, fine tips, totally depends on your preference. I believe this is more of a finer nib, and I just love adding white details onto craft. It just adds a really nice pop. Then I decided to come in with my corner rounder and just round off those edges. Again, it just gives a really nice finish. I feel like everything I'm doing at this stage of the page is finishing details and trying to bring everything together, and adding little samples almost of different washi tapes I feel like is a really easy way to do this, especially if they are more on the neutral side, so like the grey and white grid one that I have there. Then I decided actually I wanted something more in the foreground of this page, and so on the same page as the tulip illustration in the book, there was also another red flower that was kind of pretty much similar in tones, so it almost looked like it could go with the tulips. And so I just decided to fussy cut this out as well, because clearly I hadn't done enough fussy cutting today, and I wanted to do some more, but I think this works really nicely as a foreground element, just to add an extra bit of interest, some more like layers and dimension to this page. So I'd love to know, if you're joining us on this challenge, what you have decided to fussy cut for today's prompt, whether you're even a fan of fussy cutting or whether it's something that you try to avoid. I mean, if you really don't like it, then obviously the alternative is like stickers that are already fussy cut for you. You can't really get much easier than that. So I'm also just adding a label sticker here just so that I can fill in this little gap here. It felt like it needed something. And I think aside from adding a couple of extra small details and elements to this page, that is pretty much everything that I have done for today's prompt of fussy cutting. So keeping it relatively simple. The most involved part was obviously the fussy cutting itself, but I'm really pleased with the result, and definitely stand by the fact that fussy cutting is a little bit time consuming and can be a bit fiddly and tricky, but it is totally worth it in my books. I absolutely love it. So I hope you've enjoyed joining me again for another journal with me. Let me know how you're getting on with the challenge, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.